So your year-round participation, go into premature use of doing the curveball or the slider, and with a curveball, a lot of times you tend to lead with your elbow, and that's where you need either the coach or someone who's around to catch that and make sure that's not happening. So you can see in that picture that medial growth plate is being pulled away from the arm. And then here's an example of what they do through each of the phases. This is specific to Little League elbow. So during the early cocking phase, the tension can be placed on the medial side of the elbow, and then that's when you get like your ulnar nerve, UCL, and then during the late, it even goes back even more to stretch those ligaments, and then through the acceleration or follow-through phase, you can get that posterior part of the elbow. And if you have the right throwing mechanics during like a curveball follow-through, it should be where they come across and all the tension will be put in the posterior rather than in the elbow. You kind of like think of it as like a little, I think I've used this analogy, but like a little horse whip where like when they whip it, like from the beginning, if you think of that as your core and then just the end is your hand. So everything comes from the core, from your center, and then everything else just kind of follows through. This is a big guy. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Dr. Andrew, but Dr. Andrew, he's become a big name in sports science. He does a lot of the
Tonight we hear about an arm injury. We always hear the next sentence, they're going down to see Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham, Alabama. Well, it's not only the major leaguers that are seeing Dr. Andrews. He is acutely aware of the pain and the requirements that are being put on these kids. And as a result, he's joined the Little League Board of Directors in an attempt to perhaps change that. I had a chance to talk with him earlier this week. What should we focus on? I keep hearing, and I get asked all the time, with regards to children, or boys in particular who play baseball, curveballs, pitch counts, number of innings. Where do the studies take us now?
The number one risk factor is fatigue. Whatever produces fatigue is your problem. In our research in Birmingham at the ASMI, we found out that if the kid was throwing in that age group, the young age group, if he was throwing a baseball with fatigue, he has a 36-to-1 times that he'll injure his shoulder or elbow.
I'm sure there are guidelines. How do you know when you're fatigued, and do kids fatigue at different times?
Oh, of course they do. That's the very thing to determine. That's why you have to have some rules. That's why pitch count, unfortunately, is one way to halfway control it. But to pick up fatigue in a young kid by an amateur coach is very difficult. Most of the time, the young kid's not going to tell you that they're fatigued. Oh yeah, can you throw? Yeah, coach, give me the ball. They may go home and tell their mother though that the shoulder and elbow is sore, and then that's to the person they tell it to.
How do you tell? How do as an amateur coach? How does a parent tell when somebody's fatigued? What are some of the things they watch for?
The kid begins to drop his velocity. He begins to not throw strikes, throwing in the dirt over the catcher's head. And you need to follow the pitch counts and know how many pitches he's throwing.
And for the parents at home, are there general guidelines beyond the pitch count and things like that? So you cannot guarantee, but try to ensure as much success, help as you can?
What you need to do is recognize the risk factors. If you know the risk factors, then you know what to tell them to do. Number one, pitch counts are important. Prevention of fatigue, but it's not just pitch counts. It's playing year-round baseball. That's the number one risk factor related to fatigue. We think that kids should have at least 2 to 3 months off each year where they're not throwing competitively or not throwing at all, and let their arm go through an active rest period. Now, can we mandate that? No, but we can certainly recommend that.
Have you seen your operations on kids rise dramatically?
Five-fold increase since year 2000. That's an epidemic proportions. So if you can prevent year-round baseball, the next thing is try to prevent them from playing on more than one league at the same time, because then your pitch count rules are out the window. You don't know what they're doing at the travel league on the weekend.
Right. Exactly. Are you encouraged or discouraged by what you're seeing? Not here, but in general with youth sports.
I'm encouraged because it looks like we're finally getting the attention focused in the right direction to prevent injuries in youth sports. The timing is right. Everybody across the country is finally getting on board with this thought process and this initiative that we're trying to develop to prevent these injuries.
Take a look at the pitch count rule, because certainly one of the things that is often talked about, the maximum pitch count, 85 pitches in a game, 46 or more, or 85, 2 count.
So he doesn't even really do that many surgeries anymore. It's just mainly like big ones that he's kind of the go-to guy when high-profile athletes get hurt and whatnot.
All right, on to the weird stuff. What do you say? Right or left side?
Right.
Well, it depends on what you're. Right side of the screen, left side of the screen, what are we talking about?
Left side of the screen.
Left side of the screen? Go point at it. What do you see?
The head.
Somebody, be brave.
No, the head. Is that it?
Is
Is that it?
that it? Yes, it's up there.
Right there?
It's right there. It's right there. Did you see it?
Right there.
What do you see? What's not normal?
It's off place.
You don't like that one?
No.
The whole head has slipped off where the cap should be. So this one is that's pretty okay. Sorry, which one's spot. This one is pretty much completely slipped off. So it slipped capital femoral epiphysis. So you've got the growth plate on the head of the femur that pretty much just completely separates off from the rest of the femur. How's this kid gonna present? They gonna feel good?
No.
Nah. Not so much.
And they'll be physical deformities too, right?
Yeah, they'll live. There's going to be a leg length discrepancy issue because we've just knocked off the top of the femur. That joint, the hip articulation is not going to work well, so they will definitely have an intelligent gait. So, it requires surgery. We've got to go in and drill and put a screw in there and put it all back together. And with some rest, it'll re-heal. These typically will be okay, but the longer you leave it, the longer it takes to identify, the longer, probably the bigger problem we have. Because somebody was paying very close attention into the lecture, we have an update on our little runner boy. So the deal is, I guess when he was 40, he ran 48 marathons that year.
Oh my God.
And then he had his epic 42 mile, sorry, not 39, 42 mile run in 93-degree heat. That almost killed him. And that's what it took to get the Indian authorities. If you go on HBO, apparently you can look up Marathon Boy, and you can find a documentary on him.
How old is he? 4?
Huh?
How old is he?
He was 4 at the time. That was back in, I don't know, he's older now. It was 2011 on the article. All right, juvenile idiopathic arthritis. So this is child rheumatoid arthritis. This is an autoimmune disease. It's your body tearing itself apart. So they may, because it's autoimmune, it's an immune response. You're going to get immune-like symptoms. You're going to get illness-type symptoms. So fever, may appear ill, appear pale, develop a rash that can show up. RA can show up in young or old, but this juvenile idiopathic arthritis can appear anywhere from 6 months to 16 years.